All right. Good evening. How you doing? All right. So I know there's a number of you on here at the minute. Thank you for joining me. Um, this is a bit of an impromptu one, if I'm honest. I've kind of lost schedule of when we would normally do our two weekly one because things have just been so busy. I haven't been able to sort of commit to those ones again. But as always, I do want to kind of make sure I make myself available for questions and stuff. So this is very much an impromptu kind of live session. So I'll take some of these. This week has been a really weird, bizarre week for the channel and actually on Instagram as well. You've probably seen some of the lives that I've done this week on this channel and on Instagram. And I just want to maybe spend just a few minutes just to encourage everyone to be really vigilant out there because many of you may have known that I had my Instagram account basically cloned. That is all the pictures, all of the videos, all of the live sessions that I've done. And someone has basically created an account called Conversation of Money, although they spell it differently. You wouldn't notice it if you're not paying attention to the spelling specifically. So it has been a very, very difficult week. I've been trying to get Instagram to do something about it, but they're not doing anything at all. And essentially, this is a scam that they're trying to bring people into cryptocurrency. So essentially, what's been happening is, and people have been great messaging me, telling me what's going on. They are messaging people directly saying, we have this opportunity for you to invest in crypto. You can make a lot of money. You're not going to lose any money. Those are the phrases that this person is using, and pretending to be me. So I just kind of wanted to take a minute. I know I shouldn't really have to say this, but I've mentioned it on the videos. So please be careful, be mindful. Just know that I will never direct message you on Instagram of all places and ask you to invest in something or to send money somewhere. I wouldn't do that. So please just be vigilant and just be careful if you're being approached by anybody, because at the end of the day, um, crypto is such at the moment that yes, it's really popular, and there are people out there who are going to try and take advantage of you if you don't know what you're doing. So again, if you're moving into any of this investment stuff because it's being spoken about on TikTok and it's popular now and people can make a load of money, then sorry to break it to you, but maybe you're looking at it the wrong way. And if you don't do your due diligence, you are going to leave yourself open to being scammed, because there are plenty of people out there who want to take advantage of you, who will introduce you to trading options, who will offer these trading services for crypto and stocks and whatever, and they have no intention to deliver any of what they promise you. So please be careful. And this week is a prime example of that. They feel that they have to impersonate me in order to get people's money. And unfortunately, apparently, a handful of people have already fallen for this. I don't know how much they've sent this guy, but they will almost certainly lose their money, because if someone has to pretend to be somebody else, you know that their intentions are not pure. So let's just be careful and be vigilant out there, guys. And yeah, so I'm going to start off with that. There are already some questions on here. I'm going to give this half an hour because I've got a podcast to edit as well. So I'll try and get through some of these. All right. Okay. With a lifetime ISA, if I put 4K into it between April this tax year and April next year, will I get 25%, or do I need to put the 4K straight away? You get the 25% on whatever amount you put in. So even if you put £1,000 in, you're still going to get 250 quid from the government. So you don't get it. Do you get it straight away? You don't get it straight away. I think it gets paid out in in phases. You need to check with your provider, but you'll get your 25% on whatever amount you basically pay in. No, I've not had a look at this ETF. There's a global shortage of chips at the moment, and it is messing up people's, some of the car manufacturers. Certainly, it's messing up on that side, and I think will have an impact on gaming as well. So yeah, yeah, that's true. It's sad, really, if I'm completely honest. Some people are saying I should be flattered. I don't take it as a compliment, if I'm completely honest. Uh, it's just really sad that someone cannot work off their own back and have their own offering. They want to scam someone by impersonating somebody else. And in this occasion, it just happens to be me. It seems to be really, really popular at the moment and rife on Instagram in particular. So again, you just have to be really, really careful, guys. You have to be really, really careful. Do I have any Doge? I have a little bit of Doge. What's my opinion on Coinbase stock? It's down 40% at the moment. I mean, people have said it's going to be volatile anyway, so it is going to be volatile. I don't really know, man. I think there's a lot of hype around it, and maybe the hype has kind of worn off a little bit now. Opening up $14, I think, was the peak or so when it IPO'd. That's a lot, really, to be fair. Yeah, they've got a business model and stuff like that, and they're generating cash and all that kind of stuff. But who knows what's going to happen from here? We do know that it's going to be volatile. Will it get back to $414 though? I don't know. Not in the short term. I think long term it probably will, but not in the short term. But there's been a lot of news on crypto coming out this week. So I think that's probably impacted it a little bit. I mean, if the US are actually talking about their own digital currency, then you've got to question whether that's going to be a threat or not to Bitcoin and the like. Who knows? There's also a little bit of news that's come out today that apparently a crypto person has run off with like 2 billion or something like that in customer money. So left, I think it's 200,000 or 300,000 customers, pretty much. So there's a manhunt internationally going on for that at the moment. Crypto at this point, you still need to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, really, and making sure that you're doing the right thing for you and making sure you're not rushing into things. All right, Nilesh, how you doing? I did text you back, by the way. We should just looking at where capital is not at risk and a person can earn a decent fixed interest at the moment. Apart from a cash ISA, is there any other? Yeah, I think Chip are doing a 1.25% interest rate on balances up to £5,000, I believe, at this point in time. Yeah, that's with Chip. So that might be a good place. It's one of the highest on the high street at this point in time that is available, and it's an app that's on your phone. So you should be able to use those guys, and that's outside of a stocks and shares ISA. And actually, you can have a look at to get you a little bit more interest. Hooked on Finance, how you doing? Okay, there's a follow-up question here from Marika. What does the payment have to be towards for a lifetime ISA? Can it go towards furniture? No, it cannot go towards furniture. It has to go towards a house purchase. So it has to go towards a house purchase, essentially. So it has to go towards the mortgage. Oh my God, Eco Kit. I love being taken advantage of. It's a kink. Oh, good man. Follow your YouTube video about Coinbase and gave it a punt. I hope you got out early, mate. Because yeah, Coinbase. Oh dear, it's had a bit of a bumpy ride and stuff. You have to do research before you buy stuff. Don't send anyone money. Absolutely. I mean, I don't care. Like, literally, if someone can, if I ring you and like video call you and I ask you for money, you shouldn't even give me money. Like, ever. Like, not unless we're having an actual transaction. Like, you either employ me to do something for you, to coach you or something. That's the only time where you would give me money. Not, you know, if I'm saying, oh yeah, give me 5 grand, I'll invest it for you. No, like no, you just don't give people money like on a whim. Just absolutely not. So good question here. What are the good apps to use for investing for a 19-year-old? There's quite a few, mate. I think maybe take a step back a little bit though. Um, it's not what apps you should be using. It's how do you want to invest? Because there are different ways to invest. You can invest in funds, you can invest in individual stocks. So how do you want to invest? That's the first question. Once you have the answer to that question, then you get into the apps that you can use. So if you're looking at buying individual stocks, free trade, stake, any other ones that are in my link. So I've got links on in my description. With stake, for example, you will get a free share in either Nike, GoPro, or Dropbox. The only caveat with them is you have to fund your account with £50 before 24 hours runs out when you open your account. You do that, you get a 1 in 3 chance of doubling your money because a Nike share is at $130 or something like that. So if you put in 50 quid, make your money back and some. So there's stake, there is free trade. You can also get a free share with free trade as well if you use the link in the description of any of my videos. Who else can you use? Trading 212, but they're not opening new accounts right now. Orca is another one. You also get a free share with them. What else have you got? Those, if you want to use you want to buy individual shares, you can use any one of those. If you want to buy funds, then you need to be looking at the likes of maybe Vanguard, Hargreaves Lansdown, Fidelity, those kind of people. And if you don't want to do any of that yourself, then Money Farm, Moneybox, Wealthify, Nutmeg, Plum, those kind of people will be able to help you as well. So you need to know the answer to the first question first, Scott, mate. How do you want to invest? Are you buying individual shares or are you buying funds, or do you want someone to do it for you? Good question here. Do you see the dollar fully collapsing with all this excessive printing, and what happens? What happens? What happens to a REIT I own that trades in the US dollars? I don't think you've got to worry about the US dollar collapsing. They won't let that happen. They just won't. Um, they've spent decades and decades, propping up the dollar in any way, shape, or form, and they'll continue to do so. If the dollar were to collapse, then that's the recognized universal currency, isn't it? They're not going to let that happen. So I don't ever see that happening, to be honest. Let's have a look at this one. IP, which fund do you think is the best to buy long-term ETF for the S&P 500? Two pop to mind. Well, the first one that popped to mind will be Vanguard, because you can get the VUSA for 0.07%, something like that. So that will probably be the cheapest that you can find it. You can also find it on Vanguard as well, actually, to be fair. On Hargreaves Lansdown. I think at the same price as well. So Vanguard, Hargreaves Lansdown, you'll be able to get the VUSA there. I'll save is trading 212. I was thinking about putting $20,000 with them, but if they're not safe, look, the only thing you can do is you can do your due diligence. They're authorized and regulated by the FCA. you're going to have financial services compensation scheme coverage as well. So if they do go bust because of, I don't know, bankruptcy or something like that, you will get your money back. That doesn't mean that they can't be mismanaged in any way, shape, or form. So I guess it's an impossible question to answer. You have to make sure that you have to make sure that you're comfortable with putting money with them. Essentially, it's your call at the end of the day. If you don't feel comfortable, then maybe have a look at some other providers. I mean, there's loads of them. There's eToro, for example. With eToro, if you're looking at ETFs, you can access certain ETFs. I mean, the ARK ETFs are with eToro. So again, you can use them as an example. But are they safe? They're as safe as your due diligence will allow you to be, given the fact that they're regulated and you'll get coverage under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. Right. Do you recommend a minimum amount to invest monthly in a stocks and shares ISA for long-term growth? Invest what you can afford. So whether that's £10, £20, £50, £100, just invest what you can afford. Don't overstretch yourself. Put in the amount that you can afford. That's the most important thing. Snuggles. Yeah, I've been around. I've been on the channel. I haven't done I haven't done one of these live Q&As on a Sunday for I think about a month. Things have just been a little bit busy and stuff like that. And yeah, when I spend time like this in an evening, it takes time. Right after this, I've got to literally um, do some other bits and pieces ready for the week. So we'll continue to do them though during the week. What's your current situation? What's the current situation with CFX? They are now going for gullible people in Denmark. Listen, if you've not watched any of the live streams that I've done with Rue, I've got another one coming this week. Because it seems that I've rattled them a little bit, or at least Rue has rattled them, and he was on my channel. So, they're going on the offensive. They're calling me an arse clown. They're calling Rue an arse clown. And it's funny, actually, because now I'm getting people who are actually inside CashFX messaging me saying it's absolute nonsense. And more people are asking questions, and more now they're being told you shouldn't be listening to people on the internet, blah, 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 all the whilst never answering the questions, to the point that even in the WhatsApp groups now, people are asking these questions. And the minute the questions are asked, they do one of two things. They either delete the messages and boot the person, or they give the person a warning and delete the messages. What they're doing is really, really bad. I've got a fascinating email that I got today from one of their members, and it was an email that Richard Mould sent out yesterday on their WhatsApp group. I'm going to talk about that in a live later on this week. But the situation is they're still not answering questions. They're trying to go on the offensive and attack myself and Rue, to the point that Hasquar Lopez himself actually did a video to say our offices are coming, although the office building and what they showed hadn't changed since 2019. Like literally, they literally did a video last week to address what we've been saying, and it was, oh, the wood furniture is coming from Brazil. They've been saying that for 2 years. So look, I will continue to ask questions. I will absolutely continue to ask questions. I'm sure they're going to be really annoyed with me, and they'll continue to call me an ask clown and say whatever they want to say. Doesn't matter though. I think ultimately, the more people ask questions, the better. And the more they try to sidestep and not actually give their people, straight answers, the more they're going to discredit themselves even further. That's what I think. They're trying to use this billionaire Joe Jardinsa, who incidentally I actually hosted at a corporate dinner on my table. We had a really good conversation. He's a really, really nice guy. Don't get me wrong. I have no idea why he's involved with it, but they're trying to use him as, well, if a billionaire is willing to be partners with us, you should definitely not be asking any questions. It's complete and utter nonsense. Like seriously, because a billionaire does something, you shouldn't have to ask questions. the greatest thing that anyone said in their group that was then sent out that I got wind of, and I said it on my last live about them, was if they're happy to open up the books to someone like Joe Jardinsa, right, who's just a partner, by the way, has not actually put any money in, as far as I'm aware, with them. Why won't they just do that for people who have actually got their money invested with them? Why not? Like, what's the big deal? Like, you're paying customers who you are apparently building a business with are asking you these questions. You don't want to answer them, but you're going to give that information to a billionaire, supposedly. It's really sad. It really, really is. But there's more to come on CashFX anyway. There's more to come. Amethyst, I'm great. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking. You've got a question. Let's have a look at this. I know you have to live in the house I buy the LISA with, but would I be allowed to rent out a spare room and still make it my main address? No. Strictly by the mortgage terms and conditions, you wouldn't be able to do that. But that's strictly by the mortgage terms and conditions. At the end of the day, the mortgage providers aren't going to rock up and see who's living in your house. So whilst the legal answer to that will be no, the practical answer is yeah, because you can do whatever you want, and the mortgage providers can't fact check who lives in your home effectively. So I hope that helps. This is a good response here from Marika, just to Kiki. Trading 212 are very, very safe. They've got around 75k. So there you go. That's a good one. XRP to the moon. I don't know about that. We'll see. Hey, your prince, how you doing? Also, okay, let's have a look at this one. There's a follow-up. What would you recommend for opening? What would you recommend for opening a lifetime ISA? I'm currently looking at Hargreaves Lansdown and Moneybox. Depends how you want to invest. Hargreaves Lansdown, you can access some funds with them. You can buy individual shares with them, so you'll get more choice in terms of how you invest with Hargreaves Lansdown. Whereas Moneybox will just be managed for you. It really depends on where you want to go. And actually, if you know what you're looking at when you read the Hargreaves Lansdown website, yes, they've got ready-made portfolios and stuff. Do a cost comparison to see, who's more expensive and what they're doing for their money, for your money, I should say. But either or, it depends on whether you're experienced or not. If you're not, then you probably want to go with Moneybox and they just do it for you. If you kind of know what you're doing, then Hargreaves Lansdown. This is a good question. What material books would you recommend someone to read starting out on individual stock investing? There are some books in my link tree on Instagram that should get you started. So check that out, Scott. What have I got in the house here? I haven't got any on individual stocks specifically in here, because I pick individual. I do have individual stocks, but most of what I do is in funds, because I just think that's a better way long term. But that's just my strategy. That may not be yours, mate. But yeah, there's some books in my link tree that might be able to help. Oh, dude, my partner is bad with money. Should I leave her? Well, look, listen, mate. I hope you're with your partner, not just for other things aside from her financial habits. Like, people can learn about money. Like, once upon a time, I was really poor with money, so those kind of things can be taught. I think that's not a reason to leave somebody, though, unless like it's a really big problem for you. But if it isn't, then get her. I don't know, watching some videos, reading some books, and maybe just have a conversation with her about, let's talk about your finances and try and make sure that we can, maybe streamline things a little bit more. Those conversations can be really difficult to have, I know. But depending on how long you've been with her, if you've got a goal that you want to buy a house together, then that's the perfect time to sit down and be like, listen, we want to buy a house. How are we going to do it together? What do we need? And that's the perfect way to start talking about it. Say, look, we're going to need this much, which means that, how much can you save? And you can get into that really nice conversation that way. But don't leave her just because she's bad with money, unless it's a really big deal for you and it's something that is completely and utterly non-negotiable. Plenty of people are really bad with money. I used to be very, very bad with money. But you learn. And that's the beauty of society today. Like technology, you can learn stuff now. So don't leave her just because of that, mate, please. Good question, though. It made me laugh. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, mate. I know that it's a Sunday evening as well, so appreciate you being here. Thank you. I have individual shares in an all stocks and shares ISA. Is it possible to take these out and into another separate account like Trading 212 or leave them in there if I want to maintain the ISA? You can do a transfer, mate. You can do a transfer from wherever it is that you've got them now into Trading 212. But Trading 212 would have to instigate the transfer. You really shouldn't close down an ISA and transfer it into, take the cash out and then pay it back in. Because if let's just say you were lucky enough to have 40k in a stocks and shares ISA, you were to take all the 40k out, well, your allowance is only 20k for the new tax year, so you can't, then go and pay in 40k. You wouldn't be allowed to do that. So what you can do is, if you want it with Trading 212, get Trading 212 to do the transfer for you, and they will instigate it. Basically, that will be the best way to go about it. Bear me 1 second, guys. I'm just looking for something here because I just want to say, where are we? I wonder if you've actually, couple of things. Bear me 1 second, guys. Let me just see if I can find this. So, Profit Boss, thank you, mate, for that super chat. Chris here. Keep up the good work with the channel. Been a subscriber for the past 6 months now and appreciate all the work you put in. I know it ain't easy, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Chris. Really, really do appreciate that. Yeah, this week has been challenging to say the least. It really, 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 really has. So I appreciate that support because sometimes it can just feel like it's a never-ending task and it's quite hard work producing content. Little did I know that when I first started out. But yeah, thank you. There is also another one here from Snuggles. Thank you very much for that super chat for £5. Thank you. Really does help. Right, let's see where we are. Okay, cool. So I sorry, mate, I didn't see this until just now, but hopefully I kind of answered that. I mean, I don't know how long you've been with her for, mate. If you've been with her for a very, very long time and you've got like goals together or goals that you want to achieve, the best way to have that conversation is to link it to something that you both want to achieve together. And it may not be buying a house. It could be, I don't know, going on holidays and stuff, right? You need to have a conversation, an open conversation about, oh, look, we want to go on holidays, let's plan for this together. Let's save for this together. And then you can start to very slowly start to creep in and suggest those little things like the budgeting, that kind of stuff. Then you can lead on to investing and those kind of things. And yeah, just send her a couple of links to videos and things like that she might be interested in. If she's interested in I'm trying to think if there's any, like Anna, for example, is a really, really good one. So she may better take on financial information from a female creator, right? So someone like Anna at Panda Boss, for example, she'll be really, really good because her approach is very, very different. She looks at it from a woman's point of view. So maybe that might be something that would ring true to her. So yeah, I hope that helps, mate. Just a couple of ideas there. All right, let's have a look at this. Am I right in saying that paying off extra student loan, UK uni student, would be useless task and investing the money in a stock and shares item would be better? Yes. because ultimately you haven't got to pay back your student loan until you start earning a certain amount, right? Interest rate is pretty low. So I would say, just put that money into a stocks and shares ISA or lifetime ISA. You probably want to buy a house at some point. Start putting that money away towards building something. You can pay off that debt a bit later on. I mean, student loan isn't going to prevent you from, getting a mortgage. It's not going to prevent you from doing anything that is major when it comes to just life events. So yeah, if you've got a little bit of extra cash, by all means start investing. But then again, for many people, they don't feel comfortable having debt and investing, so sometimes they just want to clear the debt beforehand. There is no right or wrong answer to this. It's really down to what you feel is going to be best for you. If you think that investing is something that you would prefer to do, then absolutely do that. It's not like a car loan that's going to have a negative impact on you. It's student loan, so it's okay. You know what, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it is, to be honest. It wouldn't be surprised at all. But at the end of the day, it's not going to stop the questions that I'm asking people to ask. I mean, I honestly don't feel as though I'm being vindictive. Like people are saying, oh, why are you so obsessed? It's like, no, mate, I'm not obsessed. I'm just saying I've used them. I had questions. I publicly said what my questions are. They cancel my account, don't give me back my money. Okay, well, that's fine then. That's okay. Like you can absolutely do that if that's your business model. But the questions then become even more valid. That are you a legitimate company? Are you actually trading? How are you paying all these profits if you're not trading? And the evidence is overwhelming that they're not trading. So, you know, maybe they are. Maybe they are targeting me. Maybe so. I mean, to be honest, I got the guy's number at the end of the day. So I don't actually think it's them. If I'm completely fair, I don't think it's them. I just think it's an opportunist. But you never know. You never know. Is it better to have individual stocks or Vanguard ETFs or index funds? For me personally, index funds and ETFs is like going in is like buying one thing off the shelf when you can have like the entire store. Um, you should not be buying individual stocks if you don't know what you're doing, particularly if you're a beginner. You should not even be looking at individual stocks. People think it's so easy these days, and you just shouldn't be looking at individual stocks if you're a beginner. You need to do your research. You need to know what you're buying. You need to understand that if that company share price disappears overnight, that's it. Your money is gone. You've done nothing to diversify your downside risk, and this is what people often miss. And I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. People look at this completely the wrong way. They look at it as if for the money that they can make. They don't look at it for the money that they can lose. And that's the whole point of the stock market. You can lose money, you can make money. What you want to do is you want to minimize the risk of you losing money. That's the whole point. If you're buying individual stocks, you're not really able to do that, really, to any great degree. So you want to have a Vanguard ETF or an index fund if you're a beginner, particularly if you don't know what you're doing. All right, guys, there's 114 of you on here. Do me a favor, smash the like button because that will really help me out with the YouTube algorithm. With 112 people on there, actually, no, 100. Where are we right now? We've got 111 people watching right now. That number really should be around about 50 because it will really help me out in terms of the YouTube algorithm and helping the channel grow. So please smash the like button. Let's see where we are. There's another question here from Scott. What news sources do you use to stay up to date daily on what is occurring on the stock market? A mixture of things, really. Yahoo Finance. I watch a lot of financial news, so CNBC, those kind of channels. And if I'm looking to do any investments and stuff, I will also often fire up the Fineco Power Desk because that has got live news feeds specific to stocks. So I will use that quite a bit sometimes as well. If you don't know what the Fineco Power Desk is, I did a video on them. If you type in Fineco Bank on any of my videos, just go watch the latest one. It's an amazing tool. But I use mainly Yahoo Finance. I watch a lot of news. And then I will use that for stock specific news as well if I need to. Okay, this is a good question. Aaron, jeez. All right, mate, listen, if that's you and you're still interested in investing, then I'll tell you what right now, mate, you have got freaking balls of steel. Um, so this is something that I say all the time, right? FOMO is horrible, and like it's okay to look at it in hindsight, but at in the moment, you don't realize it. It just doesn't register. And this is the thing that I hate about social media, and I hate about YouTube, and I hate about Instagram and TikTok. They make it sound as though if you're not doing it right now, then you're an idiot, you're a loser, you're not doing the right thing, and you're always gonna live to work and be poor and shit, right? They always allude to that kind of stuff, like you don't have any freedom, you're not doing the right thing by you if you're not invested in these altcoins and all of this nonsense. It's like, don't listen to any of that crap. It's like the stock market is always going to be here. It will be here tomorrow. It will be here next week once you've done your due diligence and your research. Okay. Same thing with any crypto. If a crypto is decent, it's going to be here next week. It's going to be here next month. So if you were doing your research and then a coin disappears, well, thank God you weren't invested in it in the first place. If you lost around 10K, mate, this is where you really need to take a step back. I would say take a break. Take a break, stop for like 2 weeks, and just try to analyze where you went wrong. So, what are the things that you didn't know that you now realize that you needed to have known? What are they? Get a long list of them, write them all down, and then just go and seek that information out. Go and find that information, and then as you're getting that information, just make sure that you're sense checking against your list, and really kind of like dedicate yourself to just kind of understanding where you went wrong and trying to get a wider context of how the markets generally work, how investing generally works. We're too quick to kind of like push people towards, oh yeah, individual stocks, and you got to be buying Tesla and Neo and all this sexy stuff. And I said this in my members group earlier today, right? The solid companies are the ones that are not in the news. Coca-Cola, Walt Disney, they're not in the news. The dividend aristocrats, Procter and Gamble, Johnson and Johnson, these companies are not in the news. Tesla, Neo, CCIV, Churchill, HCMC, they're all in the news because they're new, right? And these are the ones that, oh my God, you've got to be invested in this because the stock has gone up by this much over a period of time. By the time you've heard about it on the news, it's already too late. So, mate, look, take a step back. Try and make sure that you get a list of where you feel that you went, where you went wrong, where you know that you went wrong, and just go and seek that information and just use it as a learning curve. Don't jump into anything without being 100% sure. People say, I believe in the company just by reading like a Google description of what the company does. That's not believing in the company. Let's not fool ourselves here, right? Yeah, that's not believing in the company. Let's not kid ourselves. Reading something on Google is not believing in a company. Believing in a company is actually understanding exactly what they do, how they make their money, what challenges they might actually face, how they're going to change the world, how they're innovating, whether they have strategic and strategic advantages, a competitive advantage over their competitors. That forms the basis of believing in a company. You have to understand their financials. That comprises believing in a company. So much so that you'll put your money with them and be okay with, I might lose all of my money. And you're completely fine with that. So take a step back and hopefully that helps, mate. Does Biden's announcement on proposals to change the capital gains tax rates in the USA have a big impact on equities, as those with big gains will wish to dump gains before this comes in? Potentially, yes. I mean, it's still a proposal right now. It's not going to get passed. I don't think they said until 2024, so there's still a lot of time. But yeah, potentially it could have a big impact. I mean, just think about it. If you're invested and you've had significant gains, like who wants to pay what 39%, 39.8%? Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. But then again, you've got to weigh up taxes and disinvest in your investment to put it where? There is no other alternative. There's no place for you to go put it. So what are you going to do? Put it in the mattress, put it in the bank. That's not going to give you any interest whatsoever. So it could potentially spook some people. Ultimately, though, I just think, yeah, you might see a little bit of market volatility, but there is nowhere else to go. Essentially, there's nowhere else to put your money. So long term, no, I don't think anyway. Someone gives 40K, what do you do? It depends on your circumstances. If you've got debt, pay down your debt. And I don't mean student loans, by the way. I mean like just normal debt. If you've got debt, pay down your debt. Cars, car loan, credit card, overdraft, pay it all off. That's what I would do. Free up your income immediately, because then the spare income that you then have, you can then invest. Debt and investing, they can go hand in hand. And again, there is no right or wrong answer to this, but I personally would pay off debt so that I don't have that burden anymore and I could free up money to invest aggressively into the stock market. That's what I would do. If it is purely I've got no debt and I wanted to invest, then one of the ETFs that I really, really like right now that I'm looking at putting some money in myself is the Cathie Wood's Genomics ETF, because I love what that ETF is all about. I'll probably put some money into an ETF or an index fund of some kind and try and get some market saturation and some risk diversification as well. That's what I would do if I had 40K. But that doesn't mean you should go and do the same thing. So it depends on your circumstances. That's a conversation about silver. Let's see what else we got here. Someone just said, "No, leave it. You don't need to drag like that in your life." A bit harsh, but funny. Mary, I'm interested in opening a lifetime ISA, and I know there's a cap of 450 for the house price, but how is it likely the house prices will be higher in 3 to 4 years' time? It depends where you are, but possibly. We don't know, do we? If you're in London, quite possibly, but there will always be houses within your price. There will always be houses in the region of 450,000. It may not be what you want, but there will always be houses in that price bracket. So yeah, I don't know where the house prices will be in 3 to 4 years' time. You can argue that they'll probably go up because we come out of COVID. It will probably go up. Yeah, if you're saying 4 to 5 bedroom house, it really depends where you are, mate. Yeah, London, that will be very, very challenging. But I think you should work on the assumption that money will go up, the house prices will go up. I've not looked at Quiditech. I've not heard great things about them though, so I can't do a comparison between them and CashFX because I've not actually had a look at Quiditech. I mean, I've had so many people say, "Can you look at this, look at that, look at this?" I mean, literally, I would be looking at these kind of stuff all day, every day, and that's not really what this channel was about. Part of me is like, I wish I never really did the first video on CashFX in the first place, but it is what it is. So I don't know. I haven't done a comparison on them, so I couldn't tell you. All I've basically said with CashFX is they do have a scam warning, a fraud warning on the FCA register. That is fact. They now have 18 international fraud warnings against them. That is fact. People just don't want to hear it though. They're like, and this is the stupid thing, right? Or at least it's stupid to me. They're like, "Oh yeah, but these government agencies get." It's like, what are you on about? Are you telling me, right? In this country, we have the luxury of knowing that if a company goes bust and you've got your money invested with them, you can get £85,000 back. You think that they're telling you or warning you, listen, this could be fraud, for their own benefit. It's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what have they got to gain from it? It's just, I don't know. People just don't want to listen, and it's they're pushing this narrative as well that we're, anti-establishment. Like, the FCA and the regulation is not there to screw you over. If anything, it's there to keep you safe. I mean, if you don't work in financial services, you may not understand the extent to which they go, but be Jesus, like, they are no joke when it comes to really enforcing what they're all about. They are no joke at all. And because it doesn't necessarily make the news, some of the stuff that they do, the fines that they give people that go to prison, because it doesn't make the news doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And these are all things that, these are legitimate questions to be asked of CashFX, and they constantly try to sidestep and not answer because, well, I have no idea why. Right, there's a question on books there from Shrek. I mentioned earlier there's some books in my link tree on IG. You can check those out. There's a couple of books I've got up here. One of them was How I Invest My Money. Again, that's linked in my link tree. So check out the link tree. Would a qualified nurse studying for a master still be accepted a mortgage even though they are a student? Again, they need income. Their income is the most important factor, and it's not just about their status. They need income, and they need to be able to pass affordability. So the best thing you can do there is go and speak to a proper mortgage professional. But if they're not working, they haven't got an income, then no. If they've got an income, potentially yes, but you need to speak to a professional. If given a choice this year to invest in stocks and shares, would you choose Vanguard or Money Farm as a first-time investor? What I would do would be very different to what you would do. I mean, I've worked in the industry for 15 years, so I pretty much know exactly what I'm doing. If you're a first-time investor, not knowing what you do at all, what you're doing at all, not the foggiest idea what all of the language that you'll see on Vanguard will mean, then I would go with Money Farm because they will do everything for you. You can pick up the phone and speak to one of their team without really having any issues. They can give you guidance. They can give you all of that. You're not going to get that with Vanguard. The caveat is you're going to pay a little bit more for that service with Money Farm. And again, I did a live stream this week, and people were talking about, Warren Buffett said this, Warren Buffett says that. Okay, yeah, Warren Buffett is Warren Buffett, he's a great investor, but you need to understand as well that, over the years he's built an investment strategy. He actually has a strategy. If you don't know how to start a strategy, or you don't know how to manage the mindset of you could be invested, but it could go down, and you don't know whether you want someone to intervene or not, or whether you've got the time to be able to intervene on your own, then these are all factors and considerations when you're selecting a provider. Just because you're getting one with the cheapest rate doesn't mean that it's the right one for you. So if you don't know what you're doing, Money Farm. If you know what you're doing and you know the language, you understand what it all means, then Vanguard, absolutely. If you are of the ilk of, actually, you know what, you want to go for one of the cheaper ones, and Vanguard is really your preference, then you don't understand what you're seeing, then you can always take me on as a coach. I do one-on-one work where I take people through their risk appetite. I basically talk about investment time theory so they can understand when they get into Vanguard what they're looking at and how it applies to them. That's one thing that I do on one-on-one coaching, because I think it's really, really important. Like, you need to make sure that these decisions are kind of spot on. Okay, mental bass. There is. I've already answered one on student loans a bit earlier on. You might want to watch this one back. Scott's just asking here. He's asking, would it be a good idea for a young person to open a lifetime ISA? Yes, it would be, as obviously they meet the age criteria. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, I'm just conscious of time. Oh God, I was supposed to come off this 20 minutes ago. And it's coming up to it's 10:30. All right, so let me just see if I can get maybe one or two more questions. If I can pick a really good one. One sec. When's the next trim coming? Probably in a couple of weeks, mate. Probably in a couple of weeks. Someone's asking here, buy or lease car. I would lease a car if you can. It just gives you a bit more flexibility to be able to like get rid of it without you having to pay like excess mileage fees and all this nonsense as well. I mean, cars are a terrible, terrible investment, but there you go. What's your like? Okay, this is a question. What's your thought? What's your opinion on going in on all in one stock? It's ludicrous to go all in on one stock. If you're a beginner and you're going in all on one stock, then you might as well kiss all of that money goodbye because you have no control over what's going to happen. You have to be extremely lucky to like make it big on one stock. And that doesn't mean it can't happen. It can, but you should be pretty prepared to just kiss it goodbye. It's ludicrous. It really, really is. It's like getting into a car, hanging on the edge of a cliff with no seatbelt, no helmet, and just like no safety harness. Like that's what it's like. Or just getting into a roller coaster and not fastening your belt or getting your restraints in place. That's what it's like. That's what you're doing with one stock, mate. Pretty brave. I personally wouldn't take that approach. It's proper high risk. All right, this is going to be the last one I'm going to take. This is from the REITs. Could you explain buy-to-let mortgages that are interest only? What happens after the term is reached? Okay, so this doesn't just apply to buy-to-let. This will apply to all of your mortgages, residential alike. Okay, so with a buy-to-let, what you're doing is you're buying the property, you're then letting someone live in it who's going to pay rent. Now, if you're doing an interest-only buy-to-let, it means that if the property is, let's just say, £100,000 and you're paying, I don't know, a 5% interest rate per year, you are only paying off the interest, which means that your £100,000 principal loan is still outstanding. So at the end of the term, you will have to cough up £100,000 to the bank. That's essentially what it means. If the property has increased in value, then if you sell it, you're obviously going to get a profit, but not that many people actually want to sell their properties. Some of them want to retain the properties because it's given them a rental yield, right? And it will have done over that period of time. So yeah, the interest only is basically you're only paying interest. That's it. You're not repaying the full amount. You're only paying the interest. Your £100,000 is still going to be left over. And at the end of the term, you have to find the full £100,000 to repay to the bank, which might mean selling the property if you don't have it there in cash. That's essentially what an interest only is. Same principle applies if you're on a residential mortgage for the house that you live in. So hopefully you're on a full repayment mortgage because that's really where you want to be. And I know that on the rental market, people try to eke out as much profit as they possibly can, which is why a lot of them will have a look at buy-to-let with interest only because they're looking at the rental yield. They want the highest rental yield possible. But really, the smart play, in my opinion, over the long term is to basically have it as a full repayment so the tenant's actually paying down the mortgage for you. Like, yeah, you're taking a little bit less in the rental yield, but think about that. I mean, if you have tenants in there for 10, 15 years, they're paying off the mortgage for you. So at the end of that term, you own the property, having never, hopefully, ever paid any of the mortgage yourself if you have a consistent tenant in there all the way through. So, and then that property is then yours to sell if you wanted to, or just retain and pass on to family, to generations after you. Yeah. So that's how it works. Sorry, guys, I've got a little bit of headache at the moment. So, right, there we are. This is a bit of an impromptu live session. I appreciate you spending the time with me. We're actually going to move on next week, actually, to something that I've been talking about for a while. And to be honest, the podcast episode that I need to edit now, once I come off this, we actually recorded at the beginning of the year. But we wanted to do some video stuff. and the video arrived maybe 2 weeks ago, so it's going to come out on Tuesday, and it's going to be on how to generate side hustles. So Amazon FBA specifically. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a collaboration with another YouTube channel, and they are based in Ireland. Like Stephen has got his Amazon business is ridiculous. Ridiculous. He's been doing it for such a long time, and he's a no BS type guy. He's very much like, this will take work. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you do certain things, you could easily build a business that will give you £100, £200, £300 a day, whatever you want, if you put the work in. And that's the only reason why I'm doing a collaboration with this YouTube channel. Will be one of the first ones that I've done, aside from, actually, who have I done a collaboration with on YouTube channel wise, where they've actually been on my channel. We did one at the beginning of the year around goals, but this is the first solo one that we're doing where they're coming on my channel to talk about what they do. So that's going to come out on Tuesday, and it's going to be a full breakdown of how to set out an Amazon FBA business for beginners, like completely starting from scratch, how it works in theory, so on and so forth. So that's coming on Tuesday. Then we're going to have a live Q&A next Sunday with Stephen himself. So if you are paying attention to the channel, watch the video on Tuesday. And if you find it interesting, come and ask Stephen questions next Sunday. Because if you're looking to generate a little bit of extra income, because I'm fully aware, I talk about obviously money and investing. Well, you can't invest if you haven't got spare income. So hopefully this is something that will help people generate a little bit of spare income, essentially. Well, at least that is the goal. That is the hope. But pay attention to the video on Tuesday. It's a little bit of a longer one, so you're going to need a pen and a pad. But the stuff that he goes through is really, really, really cool. And I don't know yet, but I did kind of throw around the idea that I might try and have a look and see if we can get a cohort of people who would actually want to, start off on the Amazon FBA journey. I'm thinking about it myself. But with that, though, it's time for me. Will I be able to do it alongside everything else that I'm doing? I don't know just yet. We'll decide. But pay attention to the video on Tuesday. I appreciate you guys. And let me reiterate one more time. If you get a message from an account on Instagram called Conversation of Money with a weird spelling, with my picture and all of my photos and all of my videos in the profile, do not send that idiot money. Okay? Please do not. I will never DM you and ask you to send money. I would never DM you and ask you to join a crypto trading service. I would never ask you to do any of that. So please, let me just reiterate, do not send that account any money. You can do me a favor, because Instagram have been absolutely useless. You could report it and block the channel for me. That would be really, really great. This is becoming more of an issue. There are YouTube channels popping up with exactly the same. And, if you're in my comment section and I respond to you, Conversation of Money will always be highlighted. Okay. We'll have a board around it, will be highlighted. I think it's even highlighted yellow. If you see a comment or a response from Conversation of Money and Conversation of Money is not highlighted, it is not me. So please be careful. These are things that I didn't anticipate when I started. And if I'm completely honest, it's extremely frustrating to have to deal with. But it comes with the territory, I guess. I can't do anything about it, unfortunately. So please just be careful. And thanks for joining me. So guys, have an amazing week. I will see you on Tuesday. There'll be a couple of, maybe at least one live stream during the week as well. Catch you later.